Hello, and welcome back to the AusCannaPodcast, and welcome to Season 4. I'm your host, Christina McMullen, and we're kicking things off on the road. Earlier this year, I spent a week traveling up the South Island of New Zealand, driving the windswept coast from Christchurch north, where the mountains meet the sea and the stories of the people are deeply connected to the land. In this first episode, I'm sitting down with brothers Sank and Winston Macfarlane of Puro. Sank is an agricultural business leader with deep roots in finance and farming, now managing Winter Home Farm, which has been in his family for more than 130 years. Winston, after a career sailing for Team New Zealand and Team Japan in the America's Cup, returned home to oversee operations and manage one of the largest cannabis harvests ever recorded in New Zealand back in 2022. Together, the Macfarlane brothers bring passion and a strong work ethic to Puro's mission of producing world-class cannabis. This episode sets the scene, but it's only part one of the journey. Next time, you'll hear from Alexis Lopez about the fine art of hash making. If you want to dive deeper into my full New Zealand adventure, I've included a link in the show notes with all the details. Before we get started, a quick reminder. If you've got a rapid-fire question you'd like me to ask a future guest, send it through to AusCannaReviews@gmail.com. And if you'd like to support the podcast directly, you can do that at buymeacoffee.com/AusCannaPodcast. Now, picture this, the South Island coastline stretching far and wide, waves crashing against the rocks, and crisp air sweeping in from the sea. This is where we start the conversation with Sank and Winston Macfarlane at Winter Home Farm, where family legacy meets innovation in cannabis cultivation. Like the rapid fire questions, you just got to answer it to the best of your ability.
Sure. Is that an exam?
Yeah, basically, this is where the listeners decide whether they like you or not, based off of your rapid fire answers. It's where they tune in or they tune out.
Do you edit this?
No.
He asked a question, you answer them, okay?
Okay.
Fuck.
You guys are going to be trouble. I can feel it already. All right, look, we're starting with rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
On your marks.
Get set. Winston, you're first. First car you drove.
Land Rover, Ute.
Sank?
Volkswagen GTI Golf.
I like it. Winston, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Sank?
Black coffee.
Black coffee, huh? Just plain.
Strong and black.
I like it. Sank, beach or mountains?
Beach.
Winston?
Beach.
Sank? What's the most rebellious thing you've ever eaten for breakfast?
I don't eat breakfast.
Oh, that's your rebellion? You just don't eat breakfast?
Just don't eat. Oh, no.
Not rosé?
Only during the weekends.
I like it. Winston, what's the most rebellious thing?
Oh, we used to eat red meat for breakfast in Australia.
Steak and potatoes?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Winston, one skill you wish you could master instantly.
Wing foiling.
Which is, for the listeners?
It's a foil board on water with a inflatable wing.
That sounds...
Very cool.
Yes. Sank?
Surfing.
You can't surf?
No.
Okay. I thought you could have. No, not for you.
He's quite tall.
Ah, that's where the struggle is.
Mower like.
Like-
Sorry.
Sorry. Stay focused. Sank, favorite terpene and why?
Limonene.
Why?
Tastes like limoncello.
Okay. Winston?
Yeah, I like limonene as well, but I'm a citrus guy.
If you could make one object in your house indestructible, what would it be, Winston?
Oh, jeez. I had a horrible thought. I won't say it though. uh, Indestructible. I don't really have any prized possessions, but the kids are pretty good at wrecking most things. Jeez. Pass. I'll let you think. Take that.
The Maggi Mix.
Magic mix?
Yeah. I seem to have bought more Maggi Mixes in my life than any other appliance in my house.
I was going to say mine would be the coffee maker, the coffee machine.
Good.
Yeah, I could go there too. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a bitch in the morning without my coffee. So that's 100% my indestructible.
Yeah. Mine's broken at the moment and I'm on the instant.
Oh,
Sucks.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Think, what's a superstition you secretly believe?
I actually believe in most superstitions. Walking under a ladder.
Bad luck?
Yeah.
You don't do it?
No, you have to back right up and come out and go around the other side.
Which is going to be hard for you because, again, you're tall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Winston?
Yeah, I don't believe in superstitions, but I'm not brave enough to risk it. So I won't walk under ladders. I won't have bananas or nuts on my sailing yacht. There's all sorts of things. Oh, sorry, I don't have a yacht, but when I go sailing.
Why? Why no bananas and nuts on a boat?
Again, it's just one of those superstitions that are out there. Bad luck.
Bad luck, huh? I've never heard that one before. I just learned something. Oh, Winston, this is a question for you. Most underrated post-harvest step?
The curing. 100%.
I agree with that. Sank?
Sales.
I'm not sure how that works as a post-harvest, but we'll roll with it.
Post-harvest?
It is. You know what? I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to let that go. It is post-harvest. Sank, what's the last thing you changed your mind about?
Being here today.
And doing my podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm glad you're on board.
Yeah, me too. So far.
Yeah, so far.
So far.
So far, so good. Winston?
Yeah, I wasn't going to go to Kaikoura yesterday to meet you. Here we are.
And yet, here we are. Thanks for coming out, gentlemen.
I'm just being honest.
Thank you. What's the pettiest reason you've disliked something? Winston, since you have the mic.
Because it's expensive.
That's not a petty reason. Something's expensive.
Yeah, but if my wife wants something and I don't want her to buy it, it's because it's too expensive.
Sank?
Because everyone else has got it. So I just won't do it. Stubborn. But yeah, a little bit bitchy, stubborn.
But it works, though. You don't want to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
Unique.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm going to let you get away with that. Sank, what's your go-to white lie?
Ooh, I've got a few. It's something about the children. It's always the children.
You're lying about your kids?
They're helping me out of a situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've used my kid as a, oh no, the baby's crying.
Yeah,
Absolutely. All right, last question, gentlemen, and either one of you can answer. What's the best thing about living in New Zealand?
Nature, the space, what we've got here.
I like it, Winston. Sank?
Yeah, all of the above. And the people. Most of the time.
Most of the time.
I thought you were going to say family.
Yeah, I've got lots of family.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for doing rapid fire questions with me.
Is that it?
For the rapid fire.
Okay.
Now I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves for the listeners who don't know anything about you or Puro.
Yeah, look,
Who are you?
my name's Winston Macfarlane, born and bred in Kekerang. My previous career or life, I actually used to be a professional sports person, sailing in the America's Cup with New Zealand. And it wasn't really until COVID hit and forced us to come home, that really the opportunity to become part of Puro presented itself. So some may say it was inevitable. It was planned, but no, I'm really fortunate. It's been a hell of a journey. I thought sailing was hard, but this is really hard. Takes a lot of time, passion, but it's rewarding, hasn't been easy. I've had a lot of support from, Sank, the team, but also the family. Without the people that we've got within Puro, I don't think this would have been possible. It's taken a lot of commitment and really family support to achieve what we've achieved. And it feels like we're just getting over the hump, and pretty excited by where we're going and what the future holds.
Sank, how did you get involved?
So I'm Sank Macfarlane, Winston's older brother. Certainly haven't had as an illustrious career as Winston, but I started off in banking and was lucky enough to travel to the big cities of the world and do that and experience that. And then I came back to New Zealand and worked in Auckland. And it was about 2012. We'd sort of had enough of living in the city, and it was time to move home, back to the roots. And so my wife and I bought the family business, the store, where we had lunch, and so we ran that we still do run it. It was there when Tom Forrest walked in the door one day. I was standing behind the coffee machine making an extraordinary cappuccino, and Tom walked in with his dreadlocks halfway down his back, bowled up to the coffee machine and said, "Sank, hi, Sank, is there anywhere around here where we can grow some cannabis?"
Wait, that was his opening line?
That was his opening line, yeah. And I looked and I was like, "What?" And he goes, No. He said, "Medical cannabis. We want to grow medical cannabis." I said, "Well, actually, you know what? I think there is." So I dropped everything I was doing. We jumped in the Hilux and came up onto the farm to where we've been this afternoon. And it was a picture perfect day. There was not a breath of wind. There was a slight ocean breeze you could see for miles. And we stood up there and he sucked in the salt air deep down into his lungs, and he said, "One day we will grow cannabis here." So that was it was just before Christmas in 2018, before the referendum here in New Zealand, before the medical cannabis scheme had come online. And so that was where it was born, really. Tim was introduced to us, and so between the three of us, we put together Puro. Winston joined shortly after, and we've, as Winston mentioned, we've been lucky. We did a couple of rounds of crowdfunding, which was absolutely frightening experience. Really putting ourselves out there and saying this is what we're going to do. It was hugely successful. We broke the internet on the first round. We raised $4 million in a matter of weeks, and at that point it became pretty real what we actually had to do, because we were accountable to so many people. We started building the team and building the infrastructure that was needed. Tom was driving all the cultivation side of things, and Tim and I was sort of doing the business side. So it's been a hell of a journey. We've really extended ourselves in terms of our knowledge and our experiences to where we are today. But it's hugely rewarding. When you get out there and you see the plants, and you see the team and the culture of the team and people having a good time. It's pretty cool.
Having just been out to the farm, it's gorgeous. You're like this little valley. You're surrounded by mountains. You got the ocean on one side. It's I see why Tom was like, let's grow some phenomenal cannabis here. Like it's beautiful. So the first round of plants, let's talk about that because you guys are scaling up. And so let's start with how many that you started with for that first round.
Yeah, so, I mean, the licensing process happened and it was completed really close to the deadline for us to be able to secure seed, to be able to plant in a time frame that would enable us to get some good vegetative growth to ultimately be successful in that first year. And we right off the offset, we decided we wanted to be BioGrow certified. So we wanted to prove to the world really that we could grow at scale and organically and deliver a yield that was worthy of both of those. And we germinated around 70,000 plants. For sure, there was some massive learnings, and I don't know. We probably had a couple of people that had grown cannabis previously, and there was a hell of a lot of research going on because back then we were in the middle of COVID. Well, COVID might have just finished, but we hadn't had access to go and visit other facilities around the world. And under the laws of New Zealand around security, it's not that you are told this is the security you need. You present a plan. So initially we were all about just being able to grow some CBD cultivars, which we secured from what now have become some preferred seed suppliers for us. And we germinated those. We used a third party to germinate those seeds. We received them. A few mistakes. The seedlings got too tall. They wouldn't go through our transplanter, so we had to top them at that age. It was criminal, like there's some photos you go back and look at and you're like, fuck, how do we get away with it? But, we grew a decent crop and we harvested it and we dried it and we secured it. And that was a win. Sank, how was your thoughts on it?
The other thing about it was that because the medical cannabis scheme had just come in, we knew we wanted to be big. We knew we had to get in front of what we thought was going to be, enormous demand. There were people getting licenses all over the show. They were, everyone was fully vertically integrated, and we were the only ones that were actually just concentrating on the cultivation side of things. So we knew that if we were going to win this, we needed to go big and not have people run out. We knew that possibly if they did their first order from us, we'd get their second and their third and their fourth. So we definitely we put everything into it for that first year.
I like it though. Again, the whole go big or go home. So that's your first year. What happens the second year?
So as you saw today, there's a lot of flat land on what would appear from the highway to be no flat land. You would think from the coast it would just go up into mountains. So you come up off the highway and you see this large plateau of flat land. It's beautiful soil, and we're very lucky for that. So Puro leased the area that we have currently today off what happens to be the family farm. And we grew that large number of plants in year 1. Year 2, we came back and we doubled down. We went in the same again, and we did a better job of it. And by which point, Sank and Tom were creating and establishing relationships with customers, and it was a great result. They managed to secure a good contract with Helios for a CBD cultivar, which actually we still supply them, which is really cool. So that's turned into a oil. And so then we grew that year. We've had really great luck with staffing. The drying systems we've used each year have evolved and changed. The one system that we use for the product that we supply Helios. We still have, which is an efficient system, but not a preferred method. But we also experimented with a lot of other systems like the curtain drying, like you see in the States in big buildings. I mean, we don't have big buildings like you see everywhere in the States, and we have a completely different environment. But we tried it. Wasn't great, but we've also tried drying containers, drying rooms, and ultimately some good lessons have come from it, and that's how we've come to a pathway where we are now.
The other thing probably that to note was in the early days, we were producing a lot of product, and it wasn't until we started to try and export the product we realised that we couldn't.
Oh.
When the New Zealand regulations were put in place, it was effectively a cut and paste of the European pharmacopoeia, and with not much understanding of what that meant for the New Zealand market. And so we couldn't meet New Zealand standards, which were set so high to be able to export to Australia or anywhere. So in the first 3 years, maybe 4 years, I think we got 2 exports away to Australia that met the New Zealand quality standards, meaning we could get it out of New Zealand. We lobbied. The New Zealand government didn't even know, they didn't understand the problem. No one did. And it wasn't really until it reared its head that it became a problem. And it just wasn't that easy to fix.
I was going to say because you're now exporting out now. So were you guys very active in the changing of the legislation of that?
Yeah, very. Tim became chairman of the New Zealand Medical Cannabis Council, and so we lobbied very hard. We do have great relationships with the New Zealand government and MPI, which we haven't touched on, but we can. And so when the regulations changed in July 2024 last year, we were lucky enough that Tom and I had done all the groundwork had been done. We'd established a relationship. So literally in July last year, we exported more product than we've ever exported in our lives. So it was a big moment for us.
I bet. Let's circle back real quick to your community ties, because I do want to talk about that, because you guys are very unique in how you've brought the local community on board with what you're doing. How did that all start?
There's a couple of reasons for that. New Zealand, or the Kaikoura Coast, is a very special place, and the community. It is a tight community. We always knew that Puro was slightly different in that the people that were attracted to Puro were attracted for all the right reasons. That you get attracted to a company. That we've got a great culture, and so it was like the BioGrow thing. We didn't do BioGrow because of a marketing campaign. We actually did it because we value the land and and the product that it produces and everything else that goes with that. So that was just part of it. So we applied after COVID went for a grant with the Ministry of Primary Industries, and we'd failed on a couple of previous ones. So we sort of went to them and said, listen, guys, we're going to apply for this. Can you just give us a quick no if it's not going to happen, or a yes, and then we'll do some more work? They turned around and said, yep, we'll do it. And so we applied, put in an application for some funding, and the grant that we eventually received was for effectively 13.1 million New Zealand dollars, which was huge for us. And so within that grant, there are 7 or 8 different work streams with KPIs. But effectively, the long and short of it is, it allows us to build an industry here in New Zealand make mistakes, which as Winston said, we've made plenty of, learn from them, but not mean that it's going to cripple the company. And so it was a 5-year grant. We're 3 years into it. It's just been extended for another 2 years. And the outcomes and output from that is awesome. And it's a lot of it is community based. It's about producing an organic handbook so that we can teach people what to do, fast track what we've done here, and replicate it. And so we've partnered with our local iwi, and we've got a great relationship with them. And so the idea being that one day we'll have a contract growing model, much like the wine industry or a zespri or something, where we can have growers outside of this farm, but we've already built the infrastructure and we have the processing hub here, and so we don't need to replicate a lot of the things that we have already done.
I do like it though that the community, it doesn't seem like there was a lot of opposition to it. I mean, yeah, you tried a couple things and it didn't get through, but you regrouped.
When we first started Puro, Tim and I, we went and door knocked, not so much here, but in the Waihope Valley, we went and door knocked all of our local neighbours and said, "Listen, guys, we've got our medical cannabis license. We're going to be growing some indoors over there in that shed. If you've got any concerns about it." I don't think we had one person say no. I mean, people in Marlborough are entrepreneurial, and they do love horticulture. We've seen this wine industry here just go nuts. And people are looking for diversification. And that was one of the reasons why this place was so good. Mum and Dad were very entrepreneurial. They loved to do and understood the need to diversify. And so this, when we went to the old man and said, "Listen, can we grow some cannabis on your farm?" He was, "Why not?"
I like it though, to know that you were like, first of all, very grassroots of you to go door knocking to your neighbors and being like, "Hey buddy, just so you know, over here in this shed we're doing some stuff. Are you okay with that?" But awesome that they were all like, "Go get it, man. Go chase your dream," if you will.
Yeah. I mean, we've got over 1,000 shareholders now, from our crowdfunding days. And we've always been very open. Our stakeholder engagement is one of the key things that sets Puro apart. We're a very open book. I think almost anyone that's ever rung and said, "Oh, can we come and have a look at what you guys are doing?" We've always said yes. We don't have secrets. We see this as a long-term benefit for New Zealand and growing a new industry, and that's what makes it exciting.
I agree with that for sure.
I mean, as well as that, to bring the community along with Puro on the journey, we've had a number of open days, and some of them have been for our investors, but others have been just for the locals because they're really interested. This is new; it's different. So they're really interested. They're interested in the contract grower model. Like Sank said, they're entrepreneurial and they're looking for diversification. So be interested to see where and how big this goes.
Yeah, well, I mean, ultimately, it's an agricultural product. And so once you learn how to grow it, and if you've got a handbook to it, in theory, you're right. You're enabling your neighbors to do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about, because again, something that you guys are doing that's different is the live dried process. Walk me through it.
Yep. The live dry has come along. Like I said, we've trialed many different drying systems, and all of them create a bottleneck. And when we're growing outdoors, so we get one crop a year, you end up with a serious bottleneck, but you also don't give yourself the opportunity to grow enough product to supply your customer across a whole season. So we were really exploring ways in that we can secure a crop as large as we want to go and then be able to deliver it for our customer. And where we've stumbled upon, and shit, I'd be lying if I said it was our idea, this system allows us, so we harvest around late February, March. We take the best of the flower off with scissor bucking it, removing the big leaf. We endeavour to have that packaged and frozen within 30 minutes. The goal there is to ensure that we're not getting any cellular damage through the natural breakdown of a dying plant, really. And if you leave it in a pile for too long, it'll naturally heat up and begin composting like you would with your lawn clippings. So we're very careful with when we harvest it, how much product's going into our harvest bins before it comes to the drying building. We receive, weigh, record it, and then it is packaged into uniform parcels and frozen. So that accelerated freezing process secures the product in stasis until we're ready to process it further.
Is it flash frozen or is it slowly?
Flash frozen.
Okay.
Yeah. The faster the better.
The faster the better. Okay.
Yeah. And we're still trying to improve many of these processes along the way. But currently we receive it, we flash freeze it, and we store it frozen until we're ready to process it further. Because of this process, it enables us to scale our grow. So last year we grew 16,000 plants. This year we're going to grow 75,000 plants. So the total volume of our whole flower that we're going to harvest and freeze is growing exponentially.
I was going to say that number again in case anybody missed that. How many plants are you doing for next harvest?
75,000 plants in the ground.
That's a massive feat.
So we'll germinate 10% over that to allow for losses, and we'll be replacing those. So come harvest time, we'll be very close to that number.
And this is all outdoors, correct?
All outdoors, under the natural UV light and environment we have here.
Natural breeze and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny you talk on the natural breeze, the site we've chosen is right on a cliff edge. We do get wind, and wind can be damaging, but we've come up with growing systems that can support the plant. The plants are very good at adapting to the environment. I mean, you'll look at our plants and the trunks on them are enormous, and that's because of the wind and environment that they're growing in. So they're growing to support themselves in the structure they've got. But we also have, every day we have some sort of breeze. And that, we believe, is helping us reduce our pest pressure. We're very active in pruning our plants, opening the plants up to allow increased airflow to help reduce the risk of mold or botrytis getting in. But yeah, 75,000 plants this year, and we have a system, a process where we can secure all of that crop over our small harvest window of 4 to 6 weeks.
So you're doing 75,000 plants in 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's impressive. Again, as a numbers game, I'm struggling to wrap my head around it, right? Again, I've been to a lot of farms. Nobody's putting that many plants in the ground and then turning around going, yeah, that's one harvest.
Yeah. And we're forecasting that the year after we're going to go bigger. And that's where the contract grower model comes in. It helps reduce the risk of one location because it is farming, sooner or later we'll get a weather event that might cause a lot of damage or complete crop loss. So we need to ensure that we always have inventory in storage, frozen storage, for when we have those events.
So question, can it just sit indefinitely in the freezer? Because, if I put my steak in the freezer, it eventually gets freezer burn.
Yeah, and there's processes in the pre-freezing and the storage to reduce or remove those risks. But to date, we've only done product that's up to 2 years old, and we've seen no issues whatsoever.
That's interesting, right? Because again, when you think about regular perishable that goes into even a deep freeze, it gets freezer burn after a while.
And I think that's where the accelerated freezing helps. You're purging the oxygen out with nitrogen. There's a number of steps that help.
That fine tune it.
Fine tuning it every day. Yep. I'm not pretending we've got it dialed yet.
Talk real briefly about the size of the machine that you started with and where, again, 75,000 plants, what you're upgrading your next machine and the difference between those two machines.
In year one, we really needed to prove the concept. So we bought some pilot scale freeze dryers. We had 2 of them. Each freeze dryer we could put 4 kilos of frozen product into it, and you would dry it under a drying recipe that was developed, and you would pull out 900 grams of dry. So to build up a batch for a customer of 20, 40 kilos took weeks and weeks. But it gave us the confidence to get product to market. We got great feedback from our customers to warrant the investment in the next freeze dryer. And that's where we've partnered with a local company, who has been able to deliver us a machine that has increased that throughput. So instead of 4 kilos in, we're putting 27 in. And then we've got avenues to scale that further. And that's where we're heading this year.
I love it, though. So again, because the product itself is much, much lighter at the end. I know from like the jar that I got, it was jammed. I mean, it was a 10-gram jar, but when I compare it to another 10-gram jar, man, yours was like jam-packed in there because, again, it is so light and fluffy.
Yeah, so, I mean, with the live dry, freeze-dry process, you get 0 shrinkage. So where your artisanally dried flower will shrink, and 10 grams will fit in a bottle quite comfortably, the bulk density of a live dry is significantly different. And there's going to be a piece for education, that needs to happen, because you need to be open and willing to look, feel, touch, trial, to really appreciate it.
It is different than what you would expect. Like if you're only dealing with regular cannabis, it is completely foreign to you when you see it. It is, because like we were saying earlier, it's almost like a styrofoam, and that's not what you're expecting from your bud, from your flower. It doesn't behave the way you would expect it to. Yet when you let go of that preconceived notion of what cannabis or weed or whatever should be, and you just kind of embrace it for what it is, it's an amazing sensory experience when you just accept it for what it is. And I think you're right there with the education. There needs to be an education around why it's different.
Yeah. And so as we develop and evolve and have our own packaged product, we will have an education piece on the bottle, and that might be via a QR code. But it's really, it is an important piece, both for the GPs, the customers, to happen. And this is why it's great to be talking with you and your followers to really start telling the story.
Getting the education out there. I think it's important. Again, the more you learn about it, the more you're increasing the likelihood of improving your therapeutic outcomes.
Yeah.
You can't do that unless you start learning about it.
Yeah.
You really can't. Where do you guys see yourselves going in the next few years? I mean, I know we're planting 75,000 plants, but where are we going from there?
So we've built up some very strong relationships in the Australian market, and so we've had product going over there, and as we increase our processing capacity, we're getting more and more going over there. So the uptake has been great. Heyday were the first people to take it, and obviously they've been purchased by Cannatrek, so that's given us a really great distribution through their channels. And there are others that are taking this year's product. We've also had some really good success into Europe, and we were recently up there in June for some shows, and we signed a deal with IPS Pharma in the UK.
In the UK.
Which is awesome. It's our first customer up there, and we are working through the processes of and the challenges of exporting product, shipping it to Australia to get irradiated before sending it on to the UK. You think you've got a pathway sorted, and then all of a sudden the rug gets pulled out from underneath you, and it's like, oh, you've got to do it another way. So, which that makes you get out of bed every morning because you're not quite sure what's going to happen. And so, as we see how the product goes up in that part of the world, we'll start to expand, even further. But at the moment, the volume that we're going to produce this year, well, it looks as though it's only probably going to satisfy, a few customers in Australia and into the UK, and then we'll see what happens from there.
Talk to me a little bit though about the issues with exporting to different places. Pretty easy to. I mean, we did talk earlier about there were some issues about initially being able to export. Exporting to Australia, relatively easy. Are you finding that when you're trying to break into other markets that each market kind of has their own way of doing things, and that you're constantly on your toes to adjust for each market?
Absolutely, and that becomes an enormous competitive advantage. Once you understand it. But I think probably like most countries, there are frustrations around time frames it takes to get permits, import permits, export permits, phytosanitary. It's like really, so for a lot of people that are packaging product and sending it away, by the time it's packaged and you're waiting for import and export permits, you're eating into the expiry date of your product quite quickly. And that's challenging for everyone as well. But no, certainly importing or exporting to Australia is very different than exporting to the UK, as is exporting to Germany or Portugal. There's not one size doesn't fit all.
Do you think life would be a lot easier if we kind of, because I believe we're all slowly moving towards either legalization or a medical model worldwide. Would you think it would just be easier if we all came together and collectively agreed on certain standards to be able to, anybody could export to any country, import from any country? I mean, I say that, but we're not exporting a lot of fruit and stuff. There are limitations there, right? But I feel like collectively we could come together and streamline a couple of things to make the process easier for everybody.
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, it is a medicine. At the moment, it is a medicine.
Yeah.
And that's what we're dealing with. So there does need to be these regulations around it. People need to feel safe about the product that they're taking and understand where it's come from and that it's being treated with care and the respect that it deserves. So there are certainly some opportunities for streamlining, but I don't think any of them are easy fixes in the short term.
Fair. Winston, do you think maybe streamline it?
I agree with Sank. We are dealing with a medicine. One day, yeah, it would be great, because there is a lot of challenges for other smaller growers to get product to market. And, we see the numbers of kilograms, grams exported, and a lot of, most of that we accounted for. So, but we also want it to be an industry that other growers in New Zealand can play in.
Do you guys think you'll ever be fully integrated?
No, I don't think so. the ones that are fully integrated, vertically integrated at the moment, generally just do the oils and vapes. So Healy's, for example, I think they're about the only one left in New Zealand. The other ones have fallen by the wayside, or change their business models. So no, we won't. It's really expensive too. We'll play in the wee part that we're playing in at the moment. We will have a Puro branded product in market, but we won't do the formulation and we won't do the packaging. I wouldn't have thought. I mean, never say never, but at the moment it's not on the business plan. We've got our hands full growing 75,000 plants.
Touche, my friend. Touche. Your hands are very, very full.
But yeah, it'd be awesome to have a Puro branded product in New Zealand. But right now we have to send it to Australia to be sterilised, and then you'd have to bring it back, and that's cost prohibitive.
So you're putting a lot of unnecessary miles on your butt.
Yeah, and that's not good.
No, it's not.
But we've also explored other sterilisation techniques, and the industry is evolving and technology is evolving so fast. Anything's possible in the near future, I think.
I'm with you. I think anything is possible. I do think that we need to come up with a better way to sterilize it, because I do think what we're doing now, terpenes are volatile, and when you're hitting it with radiation, you're definitely messing with them. I don't care what anybody says. So I do think we do need to come up with a better way to sterilize our medicine, for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. There are people worldwide doing lots of interesting things, and I think the technology will get there at some point. But at the moment, we sort of are. You deal with play the cards you're dealt, and this is the pathway to market for us at the moment. There's lots, like I said, lots of bigger battles to fight at the moment.
Such as? Yeah, you did.
All of them. All of them. Everything's no 2 days are the same, and so it doesn't matter whether it's regulations or permits or testing or it's everything.
What's your long-term goal?
The long-term goal is to establish an industry in New Zealand here that is really thriving. That's the exciting part for me. Is to see people being able to diversify, get into this industry, and normalize is probably the wrong word, but sort of normalize it a wee bit, so that there isn't, and I had the word stigma attached, but so that there isn't the stigma attached to it, and that people can plant out a couple of hectares and go, right, we're going to process this in Kekarang with Puro, and then it's going to end up in a product somewhere. I guess the wine industry is a perfect example. So I think the opportunity's there, but we're a long way off.
Yeah, I also think the benefits that the plant offers as an alternative, a natural alternative, and that's an education piece, and we're just so restricted by what we can say and promote, and so many people don't know. They don't even know it's available as an option. So if we can help open those pathways to the consumer, I think it's so positive.
It is tough, right? Because how you are kind of gagged in a sense about what you can talk about and what you can't talk about, right? And I said to Tim when we were driving down, I'm like, it's one of those things that if all you know is that stoner, stereotypical, dazed and confused, whatever it is, that's all, like lazy on the couch, this and that, that's your preconceived notion of it. And until you have an opportunity to potentially walk out on a farm or actually see the plant and touch it, you can't break down that stigma until you see it somewhere else. You see it in a different light. I've talked about it before with Tom on our podcast. We both had a moment where we got our parents high while they were going through chemotherapy.
Yeah.
And it's such a magical moment because your parent is sick. Like in my case, my dad was wasting away. Like my dad was, before he got sick, he could have played Santa Claus, the bowl full of gel, like, ha ha ha, had that big laugh and everything. But he weighed less than 100 pounds going through chemo, and I was getting him high. And we had moments where we were giggling and laughing and munchies and all of that. And I got my dad back for those brief little moments. And I think if somebody else had that experience and they saw it in a different light, oh no, I'd fight tooth and nail for you to have that same experience with your parents, right? It's an eye-opening experience. Once you see something like that, you can't unsee it.
And there's more to it than that as well, in the fact that there's all these other cannabinoids within this plant that are doing magical things as well, that we're only just starting to learn about now. And so, I think, unfortunately, it is a time thing, and people just sort of, it will evolve and people will become more comfortable with it, and, it's no different than having a glass of wine, But I think, I think there's a lot more magic to be had in this plant, and and hopefully, with us supported by our MPI funding and our other partners, that's sort of, I guess, one of the pathways that we're really excited about exploring. Over the next few years, there's going to be more to it than just the bud, the THC bud, that everyone's sort of striving for at the moment.
We and you see it with our staff. Every year we go to hire, it's not hard to find the staff we want, and they're either attracted by that we're growing organically, or because I've had some sort of connection with the plant and the benefits that they offer, whether it's to themselves or their friends or their family. And it's so cool, like this year at harvest, I'm going to need, 150, 170 staff for harvest, and it won't be hard to find those people. So it is the message is getting out there and people are seeing the benefits. It's just like Sank said, taking time, probably too long.
I think we need to try to shift the narrative away from THC.
Yeah, great.
Right? I think that we do a disservice when we have products like T25. You're training the patient to ask for THC when you have something that is identified by a THC. Because now that's what they're looking for. That's what they're asking for. Whereas we shift the narrative away from THC percentage and we start to move towards, well, what's our terpene percentage? What are the other cannabinoids doing? Do we have CBG in there? Do we have CBN in there? What about THCV? Like what else is, again, THC itself is one compound in a plant that's got thousands of compounds. And so I do think there needs to be a shift in the conversation away from THC.
Yeah, it's just the trend at the moment, though, and like trends, you unfortunately you produce what sells. But over time, I think people will become more savvy and want to understand it more. It probably not until the point where CBD or something is an actual over-the-counter product. It's treated as a supplement that you take with your other nutraceutical supplementary pills on a daily basis. That's sort of where we've got to get to. And I think at that point, then people will understand the power of the plant.
I absolutely think more people would try CBD if they could just get it over the counter.
Yeah.
They'd get a whirl. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
Right? The having to jump through the hoops to do the doctors, get the script, does put some people off.
Well, it's painful.
Yeah. There's a lot of bullshit that goes into getting CBD. And again, non-psychoactive.
No.
So why are we restricting people to that? I think this is just my thought. We should push to legalize CBD and then worry about the THC and all of that else later.
Yeah.
If we can get CBD over the line, over the counter. More people are trying it. More people are embracing it. We're breaking down stigmas. All right, now let's go back and worry about the THC. Now let's go back and worry about getting that.
It's a very different demographic than the current demographic that's probably interested in the THC side of things.
True. But I don't know. I'm somebody that thinks that everybody would do a lot better in life with a little bit of CBD in there.
Oh, every day. You should have it on your white bread in the morning, Winston.
On your way. But yeah, okay. I thought you were eating steak in the morning. Never mind. All right, boys. I like to end things with a call to action. Parting words of wisdom. Either or. Winston, what do you got for us that's your golden nugget to take away?
Shit. You know.
Oh, Sank's got it. Okay.
I think the key to it, I mean, is you can't be scared to give stuff a go, and give it a crack. It's not one of those, I'm not a person, I don't want to die wondering, going, oh, should I have done this or should I have done that? So I'm pretty excited to have been on this journey, and had my brother by my side, through thick and thin. It's been it's awesome. So yeah, I don't know if it's a word of wisdom, but it's just
Your word of wisdom was don't be afraid to try things.
Yeah. Give it a go.
You know what my dad used to tell me? Once a philosopher, twice a pervert. You got to try things once, because how do you know if you like them or not? How can you have an opinion until you try it? However, if you go back for a second time, you enjoyed it. Whatever it is, you enjoyed it, you wanted more.
Yep.
Once a philosopher, twice a pervert.
Could be. No, look, I mean, health and well-being, everyone, we're seeing it in the next generation coming through. People are worried about what they put in their bodies, how they look. This is a great way, and it will be one day. It will be a health and well-being. It will be like your supplement you take each day, and the sooner we get there, the better.
100%, man. 100%. Gentlemen, it was absolutely wonderful sitting out in the garden talking to you. Is there anything else you'd like to add before I let you go?
No, but we'd like to invite you back next time when the sun is out and the plants are in the ground.
Excellent. The wind's a little less chilly.
Yeah. There's imagine the aroma of 75,000 plants.
I'm imagining smelling it down on the beach.
We're looking forward to dealing with that problem.
It's a good problem to have, though, gentlemen. It's a good problem.
Yeah, hopefully it fills up my campground.
But you've come on one of the biggest winter storms in New Zealand's winter this year. So imagine 20, 30 centimetres on all the Kaikoura ranges. That's what we're looking at. So you've had some luck.
And we should also mention that you guys really turned it on for me last night with my little earthquake.
Yeah, that was... yeah, all the beds were shaking last night.
Yeah, what was it? Like a 3.5 or something?
3.8 maybe, but it was pretty shallow.
And on that note, gentlemen, it was an absolute pleasure.
No, thank you for coming.
See ya.
And that's a wrap on part 1 of our On the Road series from New Zealand. A huge thank you to Sank and Winston Macfarlane and the whole Puro team for their incredible hospitality. Today, we covered so much. Rapid fire questions, the birth of Puro, the massive learning curve from the first year, dialing it in by year 2, navigating export regulations, the importance of community ties, and insights into running such a large-scale operation. Part 2 of this On the Road series will take you deeper into the craft side of things with Alexis Lopez, sharing the art of hash making. You'll find a link in the show notes with more details on my full New Zealand adventure if you want to dive further. Before we go, a quick reminder, if you've got a rapid-fire question for a future guest, send it through to AusCannaReviews@gmail.com. And if you'd like to support the podcast, you can do so by visiting buymeacoffee.com/AusCannaPodcast. If this episode resonated with you, I'd be forever grateful if you'd leave a 5-star review or share it with someone who you think would enjoy it. Until we meet again, friends, from the South Island of New Zealand to wherever you are, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to listen. And remember, let your actions, consistency, and character speak louder than their gossip ever